Hello and welcome to another episode of Bare Bones Wargaming, a show with no bells, no whistles, no frills, just a man, a camera, and his game. Now, we are continuing here with Compass Games, The Late Unpleasantness, and we're doing If It Takes All Summer Part 2, in Polski, for those of you who are that language preference, so to speak. Alright, now, after thinking about this off camera and trying to decide what I wanted to do, I decided to go ahead and to show you how the game works and to show you the mechanics as much as possible, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to try and fulfill Grant's orders of attacking 3 times, 3 infantry assaults. So just to say 3 infantry attacks, okay, must make 3 infantry attacks. So now the way I'm reading that, of course, is even if you attack cavalry, you'll still that will qualify even if the cavalry retreats, because cavalry can't do that if infantry attacks by themselves. Okay, alright, so we're going to come to grips with the Confederate Army and try to smash them as quickly as I can. And we'll see if that works. So, here we go. Alright, so let's zoom in at the top here, because that's where all the action is going to be. I mean, let's face it, we're going to be launching our assaults here. Okay, first thing I need to do is I need to clear Stuart out of the Wilderness Tavern area. That will be necessary. That will be essential to success here. And then I'm going to try and launch, let's see, what do I have to work with? I don't know what happened to my pointer. Here, I'll use this. Let's try this. And then I'm going to try and take Hancock and Grant's forces and swing this way. And then I'm going to have Warren go ahead and drive this direction. So I probably won't end up changing my depot. But that's okay. 8 spaces is actually quite a bit of space here. So that should work out all right in the end. Or as Stuart Smalley would say, I won't change my depot, and that's okay. Alright, so let's roll. Here we go. So first things first, I'm going to activate little Phil here and have him slam into Jeb Stuart to try and defeat him. So 1 and 2. So here we go. We're going to pound our way in here against old Jeb Stuart and his boys at Wilderness Tavern to try and clear the way for Grant and company. Okay? Alright, let's hop down here. Down here to the bottom, and we'll zoom in a little bit. There we go. Alright, so we got our battle set up here. So again, looking at all our combat modifiers, we don't have twice as much strength, okay? So that's not going to be an issue. Now, we will have to check, because we are fighting in the wilderness, we do need a die roll to see what happens here. And the die roll turned out to be a 4. No additional combat modifier. So fighting in the wilderness, you have to roll a die, and anything can happen from no attack actually happens to -1/+1 die roll modifier. So there's no modification for the terrain. So we got that taken care of. Okay? Alright, now, nobody's has supply issues. Okay? So now select the divisional and corps leaders. Okay, so here we're going to have Stuart and Hampton have a total of 6, and little Phil and Torbert have a total of 5. So we're actually going to end up with -1 die roll modifier. So in other words, little Phil needs big money. Oh no, 5 -1 is 4. So, little Phil, well, actually Torbert is going to lose 2 strength points, down to 2. Mr. Hampton here is going to lose 1. Now, normally, again, we would roll to see if the combat continues, but we don't have to do that because this is cavalry. So if either or both of them take losses, they both will have to retreat. Okay? So going back up here to the battle, which we have marked by our dice. So Sheridan for those of you who are fans of British comedy, if you've ever seen Keeping Up Appearances, every time I think of Sheridan, that's the first thing I hear is Patricia Rutledge's voice in my head, Sheridan. But if you don't know that, look it up. If you like British comedy, you've never seen Keeping Up Appearances, it is quite amusing in my humble opinion. Alright, so he'll have to fall back to Chancellorsville. And Jeb Stuart, of course, is going to try and keep Ewell as safe as long as he can. And he'll fall back to, what is that up there? Robertson's Tavern. Okay. Well, that didn't work out so well. Alright, so how in the world am I going to force this? Maybe I made the wrong decision here. Well, too late to worry about that now. Alright, now, when you activate a stack, though, you don't have to activate the whole stack at once. You can do it separately. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take Hancock's 2nd Corps, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and march one division down and have them slam into Jeb Stuart. Because remember, again, with my forced march, I'm going to get +2 to all of my units' movement this turn. Okay, so here we go. So I'll go ahead and activate one unit from Hancock's Corps. And let's see. Yeah, we'll have it be. Who's this cat? We'll have it be Mott. Let me just make sure I'm getting Hancock and his people in the view here. Let me come back out just a little bit. There we go. Okay. All right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, Stuart, of course, can retreat, but let's see if the battle's even going to happen. Because remember, there is that option here with the wilderness. There is not an option, but it is an outcome that can happen. It is a 4. So 4, again, is no additional combat die roll modifier to that. Okay? So, now, Stuart could retreat, or he can take the brunt of it. Now, of course, Hampton already lost 1 man, so it might be a good idea maybe to fall back. And even if Ewell gets hit, we'll try and use Stuart to cover the rest of the army in Northern Virginia. So we'll fall back into this space here, but that guy is finished, okay, for the turn. So it does weaken the striking power of Hancock's Corps. Okay. All right, now, next step. Let's see, before I activate the rest of Hancock's Corps, let me take 1 division from Warren's Corps. So we're going to go way up here to the top. And again, I want to be able to, let me slide you guys over just a little bit. I want to be able to put pressure over here. Dun, 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 dun. So I'm going to take 1 of Warren's divisions and basically cross and strike Fitzhugh Lee, even if he retreats. I want to be able to do that. So let's see, of Warren's Corps here. They're all pretty equal, actually. They all have about the same strength and the same leadership. So I'll just take Wadsworth. We'll activate Wadsworth. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, if you look here where Wadsworth is, and we'll zoom in here just to show. Let me move here. Okay, you can see that blue bar there. Okay, that is basically that river bar that I was talking about on the combat table. So that incurs an additional -1 modifier to a combat roll here. Now again, slamming into Fitzhugh Lee, if Lee stands his ground, well, that's going to be an issue because you're going to be outnumbered 3 to 1. But I mean, I guess we could do it and then kind of stop there. And then Robert E., of course, will be sitting over there waiting. I want the rest of his force. Let's see. Should we do it just for combat purposes, just to kind of show? Yeah, let's go ahead. We'll do that for combat purposes, just to kind of show. Okay, so I'm going to have Fitzhugh Lee stand his ground here. Okay, so let's see what we can do. Let me see if I can raise this a little bit too. Can I get this up in the air a little bit more? Yes, I can. All right. Okay. Whoops. All right, so here we go. So now we do have a strength of 6 versus 2. So that's going to be more than twice as much. So that's going to be +2. No attrition or supply to worry about. Okay. Divisional leaders, command ratings and stuff, they both have the same value. They both have a 2. So that's not going to change anything. -1 for terrain, the river bar. So it's going to be -1 to the die roll. Let's see what happens. Ooh, it ended up being a 9. a 9. So the attacker loses 2 steps out of it. So Wadsworth will lose a step out of it. Oops, sorry, 9. Yeah, Wadsworth will lose 1 step. Now Wadsworth, this is another problem though too. With 5th Corps down here, they screwed up and they messed up the printing. So you have to kind of go by the number. That's what I'm looking at here. Wadsworth is 4. Because they actually have the guys from 2nd Corps for the bottom 2. That's another goof. How that got through, I'm not sure. But anyway, so Wadsworth loses 1 step. Okay. And his opponent loses 2. Well, unfortunately for Mr. Fitzhugh Lee, that's all he had to give. So he's been reduced to nada. However, units that are completely eliminated can be rebuilt via replacements and then brought back into play. So we can do that at any moment if we want. We could play a replacement card right now and see what other Confederate card pops out. But I think we'll leave that go for right now. Okay. So Wadsworth was successful in forcing the river there. And we'll mark him now moved. Okay, now let's come back out a little. Whoops, wrong direction. Let's come back out a little bit because now we need to see a little more big picture here. All right, now the question is, should I march Grant down first and let Grant slam into Lee and then maybe try to surround Ewell? Because the reason I say that is if Grant is successful defeating Lee, I mean, Lee could retreat to here and still leave a lifeline open to... well, no, actually he couldn't. Because if Grant wins this battle here, Lee would be forced to retreat. So that would be covered. This would be covered. This would be covered. And then Ewell... Actually, Ewell could come into there. But I could move another division from 5th Corps to cover it if I wanted to. And then I could swing Hancock down and have him slam in and try to wipe out Ewell. Which... could be huge, depending on what kind of replacement cards you get in the game. All right, well, let's try that. Let's have a big fight. Yeah, let's get a big battle rolling here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and activate Grant's whole force here, the entire 6th Corps under Uncle John. And again, we have 6 movement points, and we're going to slam into Lee. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we have barely enough points to go slamming into Robert E. Lee. Now keep in mind, again, you can play cards at any time. So let's say, for example, I was like, oh shoot, I'm going to be short 1 movement point. Well, remember, I still have that forced march card, so I could go ahead and I could use that, lay it down, and then I could go get the extra movement points to slam into Lee. Remember, the only time you're not allowed to play a new event card is during a combat resolution. Okay, so this is going to be very interesting. This battle here. So again, we'll mark Grant's coming from, where is this place here? Rapidan Station, and he's going to slam into Lee at Orange Courthouse, which then that will be the 3rd infantry attack that is done, because we had the one against Stuart and Stuart chose to retreat. We had the 2nd one against Fitzhugh Lee and he decided to stick around. So the Grant demands attacks card is going to be fulfilled, so I won't have to worry about skipping my Union turn next time. Okay. Alright, now again, I'm going to drop you down here because we're going to take a look here at the battle, because this is going to be a big fight down here. Okay, so now first we're going to do is we got to total up all the combat values here. So we've got 14 and 8 is 22, and then we also have over here, we have 16 and 7 is 23. So basically, we're not going to get any kind of advantage there at all. Okay. Now, when the battle begins, you must designate a point unit for each side. So I'm going to designate Wright as my point unit because he has a combat value of 3. And AP Hill and Lee will designate a 3, also a 3 value leader of Wilcox. So what that means is in the ensuing battle here, the first step loss must be taken from these units. After that, you can distribute your losses however you care to, but the first one must come from those units. Okay, so we have no modifiers for strength, we have no modifiers for supply or attrition, nothing to worry about with that. Okay, now let's total up the combat modifiers, because we can do Army, Corps, and Division. Okay, so we've got Lee 3, Hills 2, that's 5, and 3 is 8. Over here, we have Grant 3, Sedgwick 2, 5, 3 is 8. So both sides are equal. Okay. Now, I can play a combat card if I want. So I'm going to, since this is 6th Corps, I'm going to go ahead and play the Upton Attacks card. And that's going to give me a +2 die roll modifier to all Union 6th Corps attacks this turn. Now normally, of course, I'd like to break them up, but I'm going to go ahead and play that there. Okay. Now, of course, as the Confederates, I could go ahead and play the Muleshoe card in response, and then, of course, they would need a replacement because they have a slot empty in their 3. Now, the Union has no more cards in their hand, so to speak. So, yeah, they won't be able to do much with that. All right. You know what? I wouldn't want to lose a big battle this early in the game, so we'll play both of these here. And then notice that combat continues automatically after this first round. Okay. So, we'll see how that all plays out. After that, then we'll have to do it by the die rolls. Hopefully this time I'll get a chance to show you. So here we go. So, no modifiers, just a big old slugfest for each side. Here we go. I rolled a 5. Okay, a 5. So, attacker loss is 2. Okay, so the first one again must come from Wright, from 6th Corps. So Wright will lose 1 step from his division, and then I'll take another step out of, I'll take it out of Getty's because his is really big too. So that'll work out well there. And the Confederates ended up with 1 loss, so Wilcox will have to handle that loss as part of AP Hill's Corps, and down he goes by 1. Okay, all right. So, now. Alright, now the question, of course, becomes, what exactly should I do? Well, actually, there's nothing to do right now. That's right, because the card allows everything to continue automatically. So we won't need a die roll. There's no leader casualties to concern ourselves with. So, second round of combat is automatic, and again, no modifiers. So let's see what happens. About the same. Rolled a 6. Okay. So 6 is the same thing. 2 attacker losses. So again, the first one has to come from Wright. He was my point unit. And I'll take 1 from Ricketts this time. And again, Wilcox was my point unit for the Confederacy. So he's going to have to take that shot there. Okay. Now notice, of course, that I didn't flip the new Confederate event card because you can't play cards in between rounds of combat. Alright, so that's why we're doing things that way. Or that's why that's happening, if you will. Now, this time we'll have to roll a die. So, alright. Let's see here what's going to happen. Because event cards, it only applies the first round. After the first round, then you have to check for each one after that. Okay. Pretty sure that. You know what? Let me just double check and make sure. Okay. Right. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's how that works. That might be one of the questions I had. I did have a few questions. But just to show you how this works, even if I turn out to be wrong. So we roll a 6. So now on 1 through 3, the attack ends. On 4 through 6, combat continues. It is a 6, so combat will continue. Now, at the beginning of a round of combat, either side can try to retreat by using one of its leaders and rolling equal to or less than their combat value. So I could use Lee, roll 3 or less, same thing with Grant. However, if you fail, then you cannot add that leadership value for the combat. So it is a bit of a risk if you decide to go that way. So I'll go for another round here. Let's see what happens. Again, no modifiers. We're going to keep pounding away. Oh, the Union is just not having any luck. They rolled a 4. So that's 2 more losses for them. So Wright's down by 1. I'll drop Ricketts by another 1. Now Wilcox, I may have to switch him out because he's taking another loss and he's really starting to get weakened here. Okay? And now we'll have to check again to see, does the combat end? And it will continue. It is a 5. Okay. So, now I'm going to switch Wilcox out here. And I'm going to go ahead and put Anderson's big division as my new point division. Because you can change your point division with each round of combat if you wish. That's up to you. Let me just double check. I'm just making sure I'm absolutely right about that. Yeah, players are free to change lead division and leaders for each round of combat given. Okay, I'm going to stick with right, because even though he's bleeding people left and right, so to speak, no pun intended, I'm going to go ahead. Now, of course, that's going to change things here, because now the modifier is actually going to be +1 for the Union. So let's see how that plays out. And of course, I'm desperately staying put with the Confederates because Ewell is going to be in a bit of a pickle if Lee has to retreat. Ooh. Ouchie, wouchie, wow. Guess what I just rolled? Can y'all see that? It's a 12 plus 1 is 13. No losses for the attacker, 3 for the defender, and I have to roll for all the leaders involved. Okay, so 3, the first one has to come from Anderson. And I'll take the second one from Anderson, and I'll take 1 from Heath. Ooh, 3 losses. And now we're going to go top to bottom, Lee, Hill, and Anderson. Each one of them, if they roll a 1, they're going to be toast. So here we go. Robert E. Lee is fine. He rolled a 5. A.P. Hill. Oh! Dun, 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 dun. He's toast. Anderson. He's okay. He rolled a 6. So, bad news for the Confederacy. So when a leader is lost, you flip him over to the other side. And then you just use that replacement leader for the rest of the game. So now Lee, also with that 13 result, he must now retreat 1 space. Now the question is, which way do I retreat him? If I retreat him back towards Longstreet, I'm going to give the Union a pretty wide open gap there to sweep around Ewell. Otherwise, they're going to have to come after Longstreet at some point. But then I'll have to be careful the Lee doesn't get trapped too. But I'm going to go ahead and do it that way. So I'll take Lee and his crew, so to speak. And we'll retreat with A.P. Hill's corps. We'll go down here to Unionville. That's kind of funny. Alright, so Lee is retreating to Unionville, filed under G for go figure. Okay. Grant, of course, will move into the space where he was at with Uncle John's corps and occupy that spot. And now he'll get marked with a moved marker, because once you're done with your combat, your unit is done for the turn, unless there's some card that allows you to. But I don't think there is in this game, come to think of it. Okay. Well, that worked out okay. These cards will be discarded now. Alright, now the Confederates, before the Union moves again, I'm going to play this replacement card. Okay. So let's see if we can get some replacements, because they will be in supply. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, to the rail line. See if we can get, what do we got? 3 strength points. So that was big for the Rebels. They needed those. So we'll put 2 in Wilcox's division, and we'll put 1 in Anderson. Okay. Now that will allow us to draw 2 new cards from the Rebel hand. Okay, so let's see what 2 cards they get to add now. They get to add more replacements, which they might go ahead and use here in a second, and local guide. No combat roll, no losses, but defender must retreat. That's a useful card. Not only is the attacker, but the defender, because if you're getting hit pretty hard by somebody, you can just play that bad boy and just force yourself to retreat. So that's kind of nice. But I will play the replacement card, because A.P. Hill's corps took a beating out of that. Okay, I rolled a 4 this time. 2 more strength points into A.P. Hill's corps. So Heath will get 1, and we'll give 1 to Anderson. Okay, right. And now we have to draw another card from the Confederate stockpile, if you will. like that, though. Eesh. Okay. And Grant steals a march. Well, don't want that. I'm going to discard it right away because there are some cards that let you pull cards from the opponent's hand. I don't want that to happen. Alright, let's see what this one's going to be. So we had an odd even roll there. Stuart is killed. Nope. Don't want that either. So we'll discard that immediately. And we have a forced march. That's going to be good because I'll let the Rebels keep up with the Yankees. Okay. Alright, now let's see. Well, I'll tell you what. This is, again, starting to get to be a little bit long. I don't like them to be horribly long. So what I'm going to do is, because I think now you got a good idea of how the game works, most of the mechanics and all, I'm going to take Hancock and slam into Yule, because now Yule is basically, well, actually, you know what? No, I will activate Warren's Core first, and I'll take one division and basically trap Yule, give him no place to go. So I'll activate one more division from Warren's Core, and we'll select, who's this? Crawford. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He'll move in there at Clark Mountain. Okay. And now Yule is completely trapped. So now I will go ahead and I will bring Hancock, the rest of Hancock's Corps, over to attack Yule, and I'll do that as the last big battle. And then at this point, I think you got a good idea, because that's it. Once both sides are done, then you go on back to the next sequence of play. And again, supply is just 8 spaces away without an enemy unit from a rail line. That's basically friendly. That can be tied, then the rail line can be tied to a supply source, an ultimate supply source, as it were. And again, first turn that you can't, you're out of supply. It basically is, negative modifiers in combat and movement. And then the second one, you start rolling attrition, you start losing people left and right. So that's, that's pretty much it. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and let's do Hancock here. We'll let him slam into Yule, and then I think we'll call it a day on this particular situation here. All right. So let me just make sure here. Yep, we got there. So Hancock will activate with his core. He's got 6 movement points. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's barely going to make it, but he will make it over there to attack Yule from Wilderness Tavern. He's going to slam into Yule at Vierdeville, I think is the name of that place. I think that's the name of it. So we'll see how that plays out here in just a second. Up there for battle. Okay, so Yule has a strength of 17. Hancock has a strength of 21, so nobody's doubled one way or the other, so no modifiers for strength, no modifiers for supply and stuff, because supply is checked at the beginning of the turn. It's not checked at the beginning of each movement or each battle and stuff. So, okay. Divisional leaders. Well, obviously, I will choose one of my strong ones here with Hancock. I'll choose Bernie, and Yule will go with Lee's battle man, Jubal Early, which I just got a biography on. Years ago when I was studying the Civil War, I was very curious and could not, of course, pre-internet and everything and stuff, pretty much, I couldn't find a good biography of Yule. It was just, I just couldn't find one. And actually, this book was written, I think, in the last 5 years, the one that I just picked up. So Lee's battle man there. Okay. All right. Don't have to worry about terrain because it's not a wilderness space and it's not any of those other spaces. It's a clear terrain space. Oh, let's see. So divisional and corps commanders. Okay, so it's a difference of 6 to 5. So the Union will get +1 to their attack roll. All right, here we go. Ooh, they got an 11. Oh, 11 or more is brutal. It's that same result as last time. So I have to lose 3 steps. So Early will lose the first step. And then after Early, I'll take one from the other 2 guys as well. Union loses nothing. Okay, now we got to check for leader loss. So we got to check Yule and Early Any die roll of 1 will get them. Yule. Oh, Yule is toast. Which is bad too, because if Lee gets killed, Yule is one of the potential replacements. So Yule is gone. Early. Got a 6, so he's perfectly fine. Okay. Now because they have to retreat, and they have no place to go except through Union forces, now we have to do that brutal retreat rule. So let me go ahead and read that, because I haven't had this happen too often. Every once in a while it does, but in this particular case, of course, it happened because, well, I mean, just it was fortunate with the forced march business. Alright, so here we go. Retreat. If no such point exists, can't retreat into one that doesn't have enemy units. The entire retreating stack, reduce the strength of the entire retreating stack by half, rounding the number of losses down. Okay, so the entire stack, retreating stack here, their strength right now is, what do we got here? 8 and 5 is 13. So half of 13 is 6.5, so it's 6. They're going to lose 6 steps out of this. Wow. And they don't have a replacement card. Wow. See, now the local guide card really wouldn't have helped either, because even if I retreated from that space, I would have had to retreat through Union troops. So that was brutal. That was absolutely brutal. So actually, maybe it would have been better if the rebels hadn't played that Grant forcing attack things, because quite frankly, without that, I probably would have gone the traditional route Grant did and just swung to the east and tried to outflank Lee. But since my hand was forced, as it were, I went ahead and did what I did. Okay, so they're losing 6 strength points. Ouch. Alright, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There'd be nothing left of anybody. 6. Wow. So that reduces their strength down to a total of 7. Wow. When it started at a total of 16. Okay. So he's going to have to retreat where Grant is. Okay. Nearest possible point that's free of both enemy units and closer to a supply source, which is on the other side of Long Street up here on the edge. So that's what Yule, well, not Yule anymore, because of course he's gone. He got killed in the battle. So we're going to retreat through Grant and then over here to Madison, which is the safest spot for them to go. Brutal. Brutal. And Hancock, without any losses at all, is going to move into Viardville, I think is how you pronounce that. Now he, of course, will be finished for this turn. So the Union, of course, will be scattered a little bit. There'll be some individual divisions that one could maybe try to strike at as the Confederates. But at this point, I mean, we're down to, you know, Warren's cavalry and the rest, or not Warren, but who is that? Wilson's cavalry. And then, of course, we got the rest of Warren's corps, too. Now, the question is, should I take Warren's corps and basically try to unify it again, unite it again, or if I should march down into the wilderness? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It'd be risky to move the supply base this turn. That's the only bad thing about all that, because the supply base is up here. So, let's see. I could move the cavalry force there and kind of cover the flank too if I wanted to. That's true. And then I could just have... Oh, you know what? Because this is part of Warren's corps here. I could just have him swing this way. Okay. All right, let's have Warren march. Let's have these guys march first. So let me make sure I'm getting enough of this shot in here to show you guys everything. Yeah, I think we can all see everything. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That'll be a good spot. And he can cover that area there. And then I don't think there's any way for any Confederate forces to get up there. They do have forced march though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Actually, you know what? Lee's force could get up to the depot. That's a bit of a problem, huh? Well, since only cavalry could get up there, here's what we'll do. I'll take Warren in one of his divisions. And we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 down to Todd's Tavern with my extra movement points there. And then I'll finish up by just having these guys move over here to secure, because I don't think I can move. I don't think, I mean, maybe I will try it. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. Okay, so then that's it for the Union. The Union's all finished. I can get rid of the Grant steals a March card. And then I take all, I take off all my moved markers here, off my forces, just to show you where we stand right now. So this has been a most interesting opening to this. This is the 4th time I played this game, and this is the 4th different opening I've had. There's always been something a little different, and a lot of it is because of those cards, to be completely honest with you. So, okay, so now it'll be the Confederates' turn, and of course, well, that's true. I guess the Yule is sick thing doesn't apply anymore. Well, it says any units of Yule's core can move or attack. Well, it's not going to matter because they're going to have to move, because they're going to have to basically pull back and try to get some replacements. So I'll probably have them make a beeline for Richmond, well, as fast as they can, because remember, the Confederates have that mud card to deal with still. Ouch. Okay. Don't feel too bad for the Rebels, because I had one game, one of the victory conditions here is if both Grant and, of course, if Grant's killed, Meade takes over. If they both die, then the Confederates win. And actually, I had that happen on the very first turn. They both were toast. And that was just, that was it. The game was over on the opening turn. That was crazy. So, alright, so the Union had a nice beginning here. It was very odd. And of course, if the Confederates might try and strike a target of opportunity with Lee, maybe I'll march him down and try to hit Warren's one division and Warren by himself. But, whew, not a good opening. Okay, so anyway, hopefully both of these two videos have shown you just how interesting and rich this game can be, especially again with the cards, because the cards really make a big impact on this. Okay, so next video, I'm not sure when that will be. I'm trying to keep things, trying to make things line up here in the next few months historically, because, you know, we're at that time of the year with the Civil War, and I'm still interested in the Civil War quite a bit. So, because I also have Not War But Murder, which is Cold Harbor, which is the beginning of June, which is about a month off. And then I have also picked up Birth of a Legend. So, and then I also have the other companion one for this, the Gates of Richmond, the 7 Days battle, as well. But I may not show that to you guys just because, you know, I mean, it's a different situation. There's some different cards and stuff, but I mean, it's all the same mechanics, you know, supply, combat, and movement and such. So we'll see about that. I'm not sure. So the next thing I may share with you guys is a review of this game, which, again, I'm sure as you've noticed, will be a positive one overall. But I do enjoy the game. I like the system so much so that I've also begun on my own to start working on. And again, you know, I don't know if it'd just be for my own personal use, or I might, you know, contact Compass Games if I get something that I think is reasonable and feasible. I'm trying to work on setting up a Antietam campaign for this. I've been working on, you know, what cards I would have for my event deck. I still got to work on strengths and, you know, leader values, combat values and stuff. But with the same basic mechanics, the same, you know, supply, movement, combat, etc., and stuff. And of course I have to make a map as well too, which is proving a little trickier than I thought, because since Lee's stated intention with the Antietam campaign was to go up, shake Maryland up, and then try to force a battle with McClellan somewhere in the Cumberland Valley. I mean, it's basically the same thing he tried with the following year in 1863 and ended with the Battle of Gettysburg. So, so having to try to figure out how to set that map up to leave all those options on the table, not only striking towards Baltimore and D.C., but also being able to drive up into the Cumberland Valley and try to bring the Army of the Potomac to battle there. So, anyway, so I'm working on all that. That's a work in progress as that goes. If I do get a prototype put together, I will share it with you guys, just to, you know, let you see what it looks like and stuff. It'll be very simple and crude because I'm no artist. You know, I'm not, that's just not, yeah, it's not my forte. So, Alright, so hopefully you enjoyed this. Get a good idea what it is if you want to pick it up. I've enjoyed it. It was worth it. I got this as part of the Compass Games sale, which is even better. So, alright. So as always, this is Tim Korchnoi from Bare Bones Wargaming, saying thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time, more than likely with a review of this game. If not, I really don't know where I would come if I don't come with this one from a Civil War perspective. I'll have to see what I have and then what's coming too. I picked up the blue and gray card game, but QED Games and GMT did a version some years ago too, as well. I picked that up, and I'm also picking up the Devils to Pay, because that looks like an interesting system, and I have a hard time resisting chip pool games. What can I tell you? That's the first day at Gettysburg, which I find to be the most interesting of the 3 days of the battle. That's just my personal opinion, but that's when things really could have been shaken up a little bit, so to speak. All right. Anyway, so I will see you next time. Again, more likely review of this game, but it could be something else too. We shall see. All right. As always, thanks for watching. See you next time.